There are so many little Pokemon waiting to grow up and be evolved into quite a few sought-after forms, but which of those beginning Pokemon managed to bring us to the brink of exhaustion as we try to get them up in the ranks and see what they're truly capable of being, as well as basking in those designs. Today we look at the 10 hardest Pokemon to evolve and discuss why that is, and not why I can't evolve these ones because they're actually so easy. Just putting that out there, it doesn't have to be a rule, might still end up happening, but it's there. Welcome to the top 10 hardest Pokemon Evolutions. Number 10. Location Evolutions. The difficulty of this varies from Pokemon to Pokemon and requires you to find a specific location to evolve certain ones in. Clearly Nosepass is the hardest out of the group to evolve, seeing as you have to question whether or not you want the added facial hair of Probopass. However, finding things like where the Moss Rock, Ice Rock, or Magnetic Field of each generation is, and knowing which Pokemon needs which spot, makes for a bit of added difficulty. Even Crabrawler gets its own little sole location of evolution on Mantland and Killa to turn into upside down Galarian Darmanitan. In the new games of Sword and Shield, the returning Pokemon like Glaceon, Leafeon, and Charjabug are changed into evolving by Thunder, Leaf, and Ice Stone, so you won't have to look for specific locations. However, trying to find those little spots prior, and figuring out that you need them while leveling up these Pokemon, can pose to be a bit of a passing problem when wanting to evolve any of these Pokemon to their specified forms. Sinnoh Glaceon has to be the worst, however, trekking through the 1 step per minute deep snow and trying to find this little pebble in the vast route. Just snow. Snow everywhere. Way too much snow. Number 9. Excelgor and Escavalier. This is one of those unique trait evolutions that at least gives you a bit of a hint to figure out how to do this one. Carblass and Shellman are a bit different, as for this one you have to trade one for the other like an eternal pairing. It's a cool way to enact the rival feeling of these two different Pokemon, and when they evolve, they both sort of retain a piece of each other in their new forms. But finding out that you need a specific Pokemon to be traded with another one, then grouping them together and trading for each other, sounds like one of those evolution methods you'd make up in an early generation to sell Prima guides. At the very least, their Pokedex entries do hint at their evolution methods. I mean, electrical stimulation could mean all sorts of things, but once you get past trying to evolve them while charging your DS, and deciphering its meanings as trading one for the other, you're in. In general, trait evolutions would be difficult to find out on their own, and then figuring out which items go with who might be a bit of a pain, which actually makes Steelix the hardest Pokemon evolution because you have to find an item, attach it, then trade, and Steelix is also made of metal. But these little bugs do mark their territory as a good starting point for some trickier evolutions added to each generation. Number 8. Lycanroc. There's a lot of Pokemon needing to be trained at a specific time. Some even require hold items like Sneasel, who's a little selfish, needs a Razor Claw, and to be leveled up at night, or just won't grow up. Kinda petty, not gonna lie. However, Rockruff solidifies this section by having 3 evolutions as requiring specific times to be evolved, and games. Dustform, however, is the most difficult one, requiring you to get the continuations with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The evolution ritual for this pup only gives you 1 hour. You have to evolve this little dog from 5 to 6 PM. Unless you have Ultra Moon, that is, because then that 5 PM to 6 PM becomes 5 AM to 6 AM. Do you know the sleep cycles I have to go through to get up at 5 AM? Imagine the lines that need to be crossed to wake up at this time to evolve into a specific Pokemon, and if you miss it, you gotta try again tomorrow. Sure, there are ways to manipulate the clock or setting alarms, but all these Pokemon players praising the sun get their more sturdy 5 PM evolution time zone, and I'm here punished sticking up for my night owls because moon now means getting up in the morning. Or staying up all night, actually, that one works. I guess that's more rational. Still pretty hard to find the timing window compared to most evolutions in this field, which usually only requires it to be day or night. Number 7. Gengar. We did mention a specific kind of trait evolution, however in general, any Pokemon requiring trait evolutions are some of the more frustrating Pokemon to deal with. Training can also require you to have a trustworthy friend, so this is technically number 1 in difficulty because of that. But if you have 2 game systems, and sometimes a link cable, you're in business. Difficulty-wise, all trait evolutions are roughly as hard as one another, where trading isn't as hard to do if you have all the right equipment, but seeing as there is usually no indicator to tell you which Pokemon evolves by this method, finding out on your own is its own detective hunt of figuring out why there's another spot in the Pokedex above these guys, and why leveling up just ain't doing it. Especially in Gen 1 when we couldn't rely on the internet and had to fax each other hints. Or buy the guide. Haunter, however, brings a little more here, where you have the ability to trade with an NPC in-game, and get all excited because you won't have to go out of your way to find someone to trade with, and bam, it has an Everstone. What kind of twisted person in a house that you decide to enter in without their permission decides they want to trade in good faith for a specific Pokemon you have to find, and then just not let it evolve when a perfectly great Pokemon in Gengar is available if you just remove the stone? Haunter just gets its own special place where trade evolutions are a task, but this one should have evolved on its own in just 1 game, but now becomes this hardened evolution task because that's a commitment to right the wrong of an Everstone NPC trait and get it to its final form. Number 6. Runerigus. Like, what is this? Get damage, go to a rock, now it's evolved? Gen 8 brought some weird evolutions, but this one tops anything in Generation 8 as some out there way of evolving a Pokemon. You can just wing it without items if you can calculate the damage you put onto your mask and then just drive out to a landscape that invokes growth. And I'll admit it's a unique way in its own regard, especially for an eerie Pokemon like Yamask, so it brings a bit of an adventurous quest to the lineup. There's no way of intentionally finding this one out without a guide, however. For some Pokemon you can think, oh hey, Magikarp's electric, maybe I should train in this electrical field and boom, it evolves. But bringing together the thought of, oh hey, I should damage my ghost with 49 plus damage and then bring it under this rock is some otherworldly thought to come up with as an experiment to find the evolution by itself. I mean, it's still cool, but just a really random evolution addition. Number 5. Dragonite. Also Hydreigon and Volcarona. Every generation always brings in at least one line of Pokemon you have to really train from the ground up, whether that be through repeating the Elite Four, battling wild Pokemon, repeating the Elite Four, or it's Halloween that gave out rare candies. It's always the end of the Pokedex Pokemon that really spark the difficulty, and these 3 Pokemon cover most of the bases. You've got Hydreigon being the highest level for a Pokemon to evolve at with 64, Lil Dratini to go through immense training to get to that final hefty and chunky Dragonite whose time-consuming grind ends up with a satisfying evolution, and then Volcarona who has no middle evolution, so you're going straight from level 1 to 59 with no pause break. They all end up as prominent Pokemon with little nuances to each, but bring that same enjoyment when shuffling through battles with EXP shares or swapping Pokemon so they share even more XP, but aren't the strongest for battling themselves. Some generations were a bit tricky with Elite Four not upgrading their Pokemon past like 40, so the most EXP you could get was a bit lackluster compared to some. All of these Pokemon were pretty memorable for me, but Dragonite stands out the most. Just having to go through the Safari Zone to fish a little blue dragon out, or gambling, and then continually battling to get it up there, really made a long but fun grind to see it evolve. This really encompasses all these Pokemon, and even ones like Tyranitar and Salamence as well. But seeing the new grind the 2 Gen 5 Pokemon brought in, along with the old-time heroes, did make for a challenging Pokemon hunt to catch them all. Number 4. Malamar. Some of these evolutions aren't hard once you figure out how to do them, but Inkay evolving by turning your console upside down has to be the hardest one to accidentally find. Like with the Galarian mask, maybe you take damage and go through that area and you accidentally find out. That's a small chance, but it could happen. But Inkay, how do you have it leveled up to 30 and then think, oh, what if I flip it? The only situations I can think of is if you happen to notice a scuff on the bottom of your 3DS and go, oh, I need to look at this, while it's leveling up and then Malamar appears, or you drop it during and it doesn't break and reset your save file. There's no real hints for this one either, and was sort of its own black sheep evolution before Gen 8 brought in the Crit Lord, Milk Spitting, and Sad Ghost that needs to be damaged and taken on the walk. But overall, it did bring a bit of wondering in Generation 6 when Inkay popped in with a neat evolution like Malamar. The dropping of my 3DS while trying to evolve an Inkay might have sparked this section. Number 3. Cosmog. You know, it was nice they brought some evolution to legendary Pokemon, but this is a whole new level of leveling up. Your only moves are Splash and Teleport for you to get to level 43, and then you evolve and get this sick upgrade where you have to level it up 12 more levels but now with Cosmic Power and Teleport. Magikarp is one thing, but it's not that bad. And then Harden only Metapod and Kakuna are contenders for this as well, but that's only to level 10 and bugs level up quickly. Yet Cosmog takes each step of being a weak Pokemon with no damaging move, that evolves into Pupitar 2, still with no moves, and then you get slight leeway with it only being needed to be trained to level 53 instead of 55. Thanks, Game Freak. This is the prime Pokemon for those post-game trips to the Elite Four, preferably with a Lucky Egg, but we can't all be lucky in that regard, and does make for a nice after quest to get yourself a Solgaleo or Lunala. It is a fun little grinding session, as not Hydreigon's level 64 evolution, but the lack of moves in We Are the Tiger trading sessions really ranks us up as a difficult Pokemon to evolve. I'm still waiting for when they make a new Pokemon that evolves at level 88. Just someday. Someday. Number 2. Mel Metal. Mel Metal brings the challenge of having to evolve a Melton in Pokemon Go to just obtain one. I mean, anything in Pokemon Go is its own hard way of evolving a Pokemon when you have to catch multiple of the same Pokemon to gain enough candy to bring it to their new form. But Mel Metal has no other way of being evolved into without the 400 pieces of candy. Every other Pokemon can be evolved in the main games. However, this one needs Pokemon Go and is the only method of being evolved. They might change that when Gigantamax Melmetal is brought in and possibly give you the chance to catch a Melton and evolve it in the games rather than just transfer one in. Because I don't see Ash busting out his phone to play a mobile game for several days, probably weeks, to farm out some catches on the tiny mechanical Ditto and feed all the candy they drop to one so it evolves. No other Pokemon requires this to be caught in the main games. It is a good sign though that they are changing certain evolutions from time to time, but Pokemon Let's Go brought in a new challenge with this mythical Pokemon that was leagues beyond just getting an extra disc with Pokemon Coliseum to get a new Pokemon in your game. I guess it's more of a Pokemon that's hard to catch, but I can't imagine getting a new tough evolution on its own when its original evolution method is requiring you to open up an entire candy shop in a new game and having to hunt out these spawns for the chance to evolve one. Number 1. Milosh the Serpentine Destroyer, also known as Melodic. I did this. I went through this. It's not fun. Maybe I just wasn't patient enough to wait until they changed it to a trait evolution with Prism Scale. But even just removing the fact that it's so difficult to catch a Feebas on its own, the fact that this method exists is mind-blowing. You have to get a specific type of berry, which you can only get by defeating the Elite Four, so you can get the word contest, and then tell the Berry Master's wife, challenge contest, which by the way, imagine just going up to someone and going, hey, challenge contest, and they sneak you a berry. Then you have to grow it in a field for 72 hours to get 2 more, and then grow those continually until you can get at least 12. Then you make beauty blocks, and then try to lotion up Feebas into evolving. Also, what is this WikiHow team, by the way? 3 fully evolved stars, then a Whale Lord, and 2 Pokemon you didn't want to evolve? I might be a little bit on the sensitive side for this evolution method, because if you don't know which berries give you the correct amount of beauty to max out your Feebas, you just have to chuck it away and get a new one. Might have thought I could sneak my way in with some Chesto berry blocks. They're blue, that's close enough. But you'll be needing the specific pantry berries to actually get to the gracious Melodic. It may sting just a little bit to remember here, but it's a good thing that they changed up the evolution so others can live on with an easier method. All in all, these are some of the hardest Pokemon evolutions in the main game, and managed to extend our playthroughs just a little bit with the added difficulty, but result in some of the best and most satisfying Pokemon. Well, hope you enjoyed. The next video topic I'm making was probably mentioned somewhere in this video, but I can't even remember right now where I put it. I think it was in no, it's not in 6. Happy hunting! Thanks for being here as usual, and I really appreciate it. But looking at some stuff to upgrade here and there, but thanks for sticking around through it, and please leave a like if you can, as it really helps me out, and if you aren't subscribed, that'd be great to do as well. You know, subscribing, not staying unsubscribed, that's different. Until next time, see you then.